Hi, and welcome to Decentering White Women, a journey to self-empowerment. My name is Vonda Page, and I am your host. I am excited to welcome you to episode 1. The introduction is on how we got here. And today, what I'm going to talk about is, what inspired this concept. I'm going to talk about the journey of, white-centric standards and how that's evolved over time. And I'm also going to talk very specifically about the ways that Black women have been uniquely affected by the dynamics of power when it comes to white and Black women, especially in professional spaces. And then finally, if we have enough time, I'm going to end talking about some of the common misconceptions of the relationship between white and Black women. And then we'll take it from there. So, the point of this podcast, y'all, is to support Black women in their professional and personal lives by helping Black women learn some of the things that has taken me a really long time to do, but in an accelerated manner. And what I am excited to help Black women unpack for themselves is our focus on whiteness, white people and white women specifically, and how that has harmed us. And what we want to do is we want to focus on things that are going to support our well-being. And the things that I believe support Black women's well-being the most are rest, which is required for healing, and healing, which is required for joy. And joy is what is required for us to really win at life. And I think about my colleague and friend Tammy Chiolo when we were talking about our 2024 goals and picking out our words for the year. I mean, mine was coming. It probably was supposed to be 22 or 21, but my word was coming, and my word for 2024 is rest, and her word is joy. And I thought about the bridge in between rest and joy, which is what I was working on in 23 and 22 and 2020. Since 2018, 2019, I've been working on healing in a really deep way, but really a lot since 2019. And I could not really envision the amount of rest that is necessary for us to actually heal. I couldn't envision it until I got to a point in this year, in December, literally a month ago, where I was so exhausted in every way that I needed to take a break. And I decided to go on a hiatus, a sabbatical, and unplugged for like 4 to 6 weeks. And to my surprise, the people that I had brought into my community, into my program, into the mentorship, decided that they wasn't down with that. They decided that I wasn't allowed to take a break. They decided that I wasn't allowed to need my personal time. They decided that I was not human enough to not give them what they needed. And so they decided to leave. And at first I was like so devastated, in a way, like surprised, but like in the way that they did it. Because I'm like, all I did for y'all, everything I've been doing, everything I put in and everything I gave. And then I said, damn, Vonda, that's what Black women been doing. White women been telling us to kiss their ass from day one. And we've been saying, even though I did this for you, and even though I did that for you, and even though I did this for you, and even though I did that for you. Yeah, even though we did all of that. Because at the end of the day, white women, white people, like I said a long time ago, they don't have empathy. But even more so than that, they've not done any of the requisite work to develop or build up any empathy, nor have they developed or built any love for themselves such that they care about themselves enough that they could see another person in themselves. And that is the crux of the failure to change when it comes to any type of healing work, whether it comes to unpacking anti-Blackness, whether it comes to anti-racism work, or any of it. And so that support that you will never get from white women is only going to come from yourself, and is only going to come from other people who look like you, who have a similar experience, who have a similar background. White women, white people don't want black people to have equity, and definitely not full human rights. Because if we have human rights, who is going to do the work for them? And I'm going to tell anybody out here who listening who may be like, oh my God, this stuff this lady is saying, this is crazy. This sounds extreme. I'm going to walk you through so many stories, so many examples. I'm going to walk you through reports. I'm going to walk you through things as we go through this podcast journey together. And you're going to see that, yeah, white people do expect us to do everything for them. And when they don't, they strike out and they get violently angry. Violently. Now, whether that violence is financial, sexual, emotional, psychological, physical, or verbal, it depends on proximity and power. But make no mistake, white people and white women have the power. And because they've had that power, that is why we have zero human rights. and the entire system of structural inequity, structural subjugation is perpetuated and run by white women to harm black people. And so black women, it is our job, black women, to decenter white women, focus on our own rest and healing and ultimate joy. And that's what this podcast is going to be about. And I am super excited to have y'all here. So let's get started. So, I, for years and years, have been in the technology field. And some of you may know that story starts off as my first job at Mr. Parker's auto tags, auto tag spot. Basically, if you imagine like a UPS, a post office, a copy shop, Office Max, plus we did all of these car type things. So it's like a DMV and an Office Max Staples post office kind of situation. And I was part of the summer job program, and where they used to give us all these tests when I was in school. I was in this thing called, they used to call it mentally gifted or whatever, and then they started calling it academically talented, and then they started calling it something else. But anyway, we used to get all these tests all the time, and I used to be tested all the time and have to go to these programs and all these special things to learn all this different stuff when I was a kid. And I started becoming familiar with technology and using computers and stuff when I was like 13 or whatever. Anyway, I got picked to be in this program, and they were like, okay, well, since I didn't want to be in the medical field because my mom wanted me to be a doctor, and I was in all these programs for people that wanted to go to medicine. I was like, I don't want to do that. So they said, okay, well, then what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'm going to be a businesswoman. So they was like, okay, well, we put you in this business program. So I go to this job on the first day, and I'm, bopping with my Walkman, and I'm listening to When Doves Cry, because Purple Rain had just come out. We had saw the movie, and so everybody who had the Walkman, I had the Walkman and I had the CD, so I was doing my thing. And boppity boo, I go into the office, and Mr. Parker tells me that my job to figure out this fax machine. So it was a guy in there from IBM. He was or Xerox, and he was installing this fax machine. And basically, it was my job to figure it out. So I took the big old binder home. This binder was so big, y'all. He tried to give me like a bag to put it in. I couldn't even put it in a bag. I had to try to carry it. It was really heavy. It probably was about 15 pounds looking back, because I know it was heavier than my bowling ball. And I had used that example when I was thinking about, well, damn, I knew how heavy this thing was. And so anyway, Mr. Parker tells me to figure out this fax machine so that I can use it to do his work. And so I took the binder home. I started figuring out. I looked at the pieces. Came in the next day. I did my thing. And basically, it took me about 2.5 days to get it all figured out. And then I started incorporating the snail mail, or what we call USPS